All right, let's talk about something we all do but almost never think about as a huge driver of money, power, and even history. I'm talking about sleep. We're going to dive deep because it turns out the cost of all of us being so tired is absolutely staggering. And believe me, the story of how we got here, well, it's not at all what you think. Picture this. It's 2007. Ariana Huffington, one of the most powerful people in media, is at the absolute peak of her career, and she literally collapses at her desk. This wasn't some random illness, no. This was the bill finally coming due for a culture that treats sleep like it's a weakness. And that broken cheekbone, it became a massive wake-up call, not just for her, but for a whole world that's basically running on fumes. And yeah, that wake-up call has a price tag, a huge one. Get ready for this number, $411 billion. That's the estimated economic hit the United States takes every single year just from not getting enough sleep. We're not talking about a personal health issue here. This is a full-blown national economic crisis that's just hiding in plain sight. So first up, let's zoom out and look at the massive scale of this problem, because this goes way beyond just feeling a little groggy in the morning. This is about a global sleep tax that we're all paying in the form of lost productivity, tragic accidents, and healthcare costs that are just spiraling out of control. And you can see this is happening everywhere. But here's what's really interesting. Yeah, the US loses the most raw cash, but look at Japan. Almost 3% of its entire GDP gone, wiped out because people are exhausted. That just shows you how deeply a country's work culture can hit it right in the wallet. Okay, so we've seen the cost. It's enormous. But why? What makes sleep so incredibly valuable? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go inside our own heads and meet the amazing crew working your brain's night shift. First on the job is the cleanup crew. As soon as you fall asleep, this incredible network called the glymphatic system kicks into high gear. Seriously, think of it like your brain's personal janitor. It power washes all the metabolic junk that builds up while you're awake, including some really nasty stuff called beta amyloid, which has been linked to Alzheimer's. So yeah, no sleep, no cleanup. It's really that simple. Next up, you've got the brain's librarian. You know all that stuff you learned today? It's all just kind of sitting in a messy pile in your short-term memory. But when you sleep, your brain starts organizing. It's like a librarian, taking all those important new files and moving them into the long-term storage shelves. It is literally cementing your memories and skills. So if you pull an all-nighter to cram for a test, you might as well have just watched TV instead. Okay, and this part is just so cool. During REM sleep, your brain turns into this wild, experimental creative director. It starts grabbing all these random ideas from all over the place and just smashing them together to see what happens. It's making these totally bizarre, unexpected connections. That's exactly why you sometimes wake up and suddenly know the answer to a problem that's been bugging you for weeks. And it's not just a feeling. This can boost your creative problem solving by up to 40%. Incredible. So we get it. Sleep is a superhero. But what if everything we think we know about a good night's sleep is just wrong? Let's dive into some history here, because this next part might completely change how you see your own bed. So let me ask you this. Is sleeping in one single solid 8-hour block actually unnatural? I mean, think about it. That's the goal, right? The holy grail of sleep. But what if that whole idea is just a modern invention? What if our bodies were actually built for something else entirely? Well, it turns out, for most of human history, we slept completely differently. A historian named Roger Eckertsch found mountains of evidence, diaries, court records, plays, all showing that people used to sleep in two parts. You'd have your first sleep, then you'd wake up for an hour or two in the middle of the night for what they called the watch, and then you'd go back for your second sleep. Waking up at 1 a.m., that wasn't a disorder. It was just normal. So what changed? Well, you could call it the Great Sleep Heist. First, gaslight. And then the electric light bulb allowed us to basically conquer the night. We could stay up later. Then the Industrial Revolution came along and demanded that everyone work on the exact same clock. That quiet little break in the middle of the night, suddenly it was just wasted, inefficient time. And by the 20th century, we completely forgot this was ever normal. We even gave it a scary medical name, insomnia. And that historical twist is just the beginning. Now we're going to do a quick, rapid-fire round of some of sleep's other shocking secrets. And trust me, these have huge implications for, well, pretty much everything. Okay, you know that feeling you're sleeping in a new place, a hotel, a friend's apartment, and you just can't get a good night's rest. You toss and turn all night long, you think, ugh, this mattress is awful.
But it's probably not the mattress. The real reason is way, way cooler.
Scientists call it the first night effect. Brain scans show that when you're in a place you don't know, one half of your brain literally stays more awake than the other. It's acting like a night watchman, keeping an ear out for any potential danger. It's a survival instinct from our ancient past, still active in your brain today. How wild is that? All right, let's shift gears to something pretty chilling. Think about this. Could just being tired, completely exhausted, actually make you confess to a crime you didn't even commit? The research on this is just jaw-dropping. A sleep-deprived person is 4.5 times more likely to sign a false confession. 4.5! When you're that tired, your judgment is shot and you become incredibly susceptible to suggestion. I mean, just pause for a second and think about what that means for our entire justice system. And one last shocker for you. What if I told you that just letting teenagers sleep in could be a massive economic stimulus? It sounds crazy, but a huge Rand Corporation study found that moving high school start times later would add $83 billion to the U.S. economy in just 10 years. That's from higher lifetime earnings and even fewer car crashes. It's a total no-brainer. So, with all this science piling up, a revolution is starting to brew. And it's happening in the one place that has always worshipped exhaustion, the business world. Companies are finally waking up to the fact that rest isn't a cost, it's an investment with a massive return. For years, you know the vibe. It was all about hustle culture. Sleep is for the weak, right? Working a 100-hour week was a badge of honor. But then, well, everyone got burned out. So now there's this huge cultural shift happening towards what you might call rest culture. The new thinking is simple. If you want to perform at your best, you have to recover at your best. Sleep is the new competitive advantage. And this isn't just some fluffy corporate slogan either. Get this. The insurance giant Aetna literally pays its employees to sleep. I'm serious. They get $25 for every 20 nights they log 7 hours or more of sleep. Why on earth would they do that? Simple math. They figured out that this small investment brings in about $3,000 in extra productivity per employee. Now that is an ROI. So when you have a massive cultural shift like this, what happens? A market is born, a gigantic one. The global sleep economy is on track to hit over $500 billion. That's the whole shebang. Smart mattresses, tracking rings, sleep apnea devices, corporate wellness programs, coaching apps, all promising to sell us the one thing we've been taught to ignore for a century. Okay, so let's boil all this down. What are the key things to remember? 1, not sleeping costs us a mind-blowing amount of money, over $400 billion a year just in the US. 2, sleep isn't off time. It's when your brain is actively cleaning house, filing memories, and getting creative. 3, our so-called normal 8-hour night is actually a historical anomaly. 4, being tired can literally make you believe things that aren't true. And finally, 5, the smartest people in business are now betting big on rest. So it all comes down to this one powerful idea. We have to completely reframe how we think. Sleep isn't the opposite of work. It's the preparation for it. It's the training you do before the main event. So the only real question left is, how are you preparing?